Hello, world. Today is an exciting day. We are talking about immigrants living in the state of Vermont. This is your host, Winnie Wilkinson. Imagine a place where conversations are like a cup of tea and we are like old friends. When our stories from lived experience are spoken about, we need you to understand that one, it is our lived experiences. And you cannot adjust or dissect and bisect our lived experiences. I will be grateful if we continue on that tone. Our guests are here at Free Will, and they're going to talk about their lived experience is in the state of Vermont. Full disclosure, I am an immigrant that is a naturalized American citizen. And everyone on this panel either is an immigrant or is married to an immigrant. And please respect that. I will now introduce you to the queen of talk show, Miss Queen Lydia Diamond. And her show is Tea Talks, and it was yesterday. She's the last Monday of each month. And Hey Neighbor Hey is the last Tuesday of each month. I now introduce to you Queen Lydia.
Good morning, Winnie. You know it's too early for me, right?
Yeah.
But I made it. Thank you for that intro. And I'm born in this country, but my daddy wasn't.
Right.
And my grandma wasn't. And my grandma had 7 children, and they all lived here. You know, they came from Panama. And we're a big old family, you know, and we have thrived living here in spite of the chaos.
Yes.
So, good morning. Hey, neighbor, hey. Do I pass it to Woofy?
No, you tell your story.
Oh, well, living here in Vermont, I came here summer of '94, thanks to my mom, who is no longer with us, but she relocated me and my 4 children from Brooklyn, New York to Burlington, Vermont. And it was not an easy transition to relocate to this too white, too cold, too quiet state. Okay? Because you know New York really is the city that never sleeps.
Yeah.
And all 5 of them boroughs. But when we first got here, my kids got comfortable immediately. They loved it. And it didn't make any sense to me. And I said to them, don't get comfortable. We just visiting. And that was 31 years ago. And I got 8 grandbabies born here. New generation.
Yes.
I've got more than that because my sister has 18 grandchildren.
Born in Vermont.
And, well, no, not all of them. Half of them born in Vermont. But she has 2 great-grandsons that are born right here in Vermont. And I'm thankful. God is amazing.
Yes.
There was a time before I got here that I thought that we were not going to make it. And I feel like my mom saw that. And she did something about it by relocating us here.
Yeah.
You know, I was a crack addict. I had lost myself. And my mom relocated us here to save us.
Yes.
And she passed over 20 years ago, but I miss her every single day. And my dad lives in Florida with my daughter and her 2 sons, and he has dementia. And yesterday he ended up in the ICU down in Florida, and it was really scary. But to God be the glory, he made it through. He's in a regular room today, and he's in recovery. He had some type of infection, but he's doing better today. To God be the glory. It was really hard yesterday, you know.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you thank you, Winnie.
You're welcome.
Because you represent community. And I greatly appreciate that. Because the more community goodness that I have, the better I thrive.
Yes.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate
I
you
love
too.
you, good
I
sister.
love you. And you just hand the mic over to Keith.
Come on, good brother.
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Same question.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Winnie. You know, is it true that Winnie worked very hard to be with everybody, to build the community, to struggle together, because sometimes the experience intersect, and the collective liberation for all of us intersect. My name is Wafiq Faour. I born refugee in refugee camp in Lebanon. Both my parents forced to leave Palestine in 1948, and they are not allowed to go back, and both they passed away before having the opportunity to see their homeland again. I am one out of 8 children. Still, majority of my brothers and sisters still in the refugee camps in Lebanon, and 6th generation now. They are living refugees with refugees documentary, and they don't have the same right as citizen, even though they born in Lebanon. I want to talk about, I came here to school, to Northeastern University as a student. This is how I've been allowed to enter the country in refugee documentary. So the first identification I carried in my pocket, it was the American, when I got married to an American, to my wife. Most of us, the migrants, immigrants, refugees, many times we came here not by our choice. Yes. We forced. And here we can talk about it to our audience, to the American, to think about it. There is a responsibility of the American administrations, regardless if they are Democrat or Republican, and the American people to see us as we are, not to guess about us. The cause of me being here, not in Palestine, because of colonialism of Israel and the support of the United States, of their taxes, weapons, and we see the genocide happening and starvation and ethnic cleansing over there. So to look at me as a foreigner when American tax money is responsible, it's not fair. So let's talk about this more than any other. And I see my friends coming from Africa, from Latin America. There is American responsibility to that. And when we go on the streets, demonstrate or rally or ask for our right, for First Amendment right, because our siblings getting arrested, it is because we think highly of this country. And we believe that it should meet its responsibility and it's a promise to the people here. And when you say freedom of speech, I wish we are treated equally. When we see equal rights and human rights, I wish all the people on this state and on this country are treated equally. Until now, we don't see that happening. We see many of our community, from the indigenous people to the black people, to Arab and Palestinian people, Muslim. I mean, today I was reading the news until I came here that there is invasion of bike riding right-wing Christian to Dearborn, Michigan, because they are anti-Muslims. It's today. Hundreds of them, because Abdul Sayed won the primary of the Democratic Party. Yeah. So what kind of a country we are living in? Isn't it this country supposed to allow all faiths, all religion equal? No racism, no discrimination? Let's think about it.
Hello. Hi. Greetings, everyone. Peace and blessings to everyone. My name is Dr. Jolivet Anderson Duaning. I am originally from the state of Louisiana, and my immigrant story is really a story about migration. So as a Black American, my family history goes back to the 1830s on primary sources in the state of Louisiana. My DNA testing from Ancestry.com linked me up with some sixth cousins that prove that my ancestry goes back to the 1750s, before the United States was the United States. And so my Vermont story is really a migration story. So I was born and raised in North Louisiana in a place called Shreveport in Caddo Parish. I lived in Mississippi for 10 years. Then I lived in Indiana for 18 years. I moved to Vermont on a dissertation fellowship. And I ended up at St. Michael's College, where I am a professor of history and American studies, and I'm also the director for the Institute for Equity and Justice. And while I was living in Indiana, I married my now ex-husband, because I want to be real clear. You said everybody was either married to we're not married.
Point taken.
Point taken. So I'm no longer married to my ex-husband, who is from the Bete people of Ivory Coast. But we have a daughter, and she carries that Bete heritage inside of her. And I also have stepchildren. I divorced him. I did not divorce the children.
Right now.
And so I'm very much active in their lives still as young adults, and the youngest one is 10 years old. And so I give you that background because I think that when you asked me to come to share my experience, I said I could speak as a parent of children who struggled with identity issues, because when you come to the United States of America, you have to make a choice, and that choice is either Black or white. And that is rooted in the history of Jim Crow segregation, which my parents and grandparents, all of them who were on this soil, were born into. And if you don't understand the history, and if you believe, like my ex-husband did, that all the things that they tell you about Black Americans, then you're going to have some identity issues. Yes. You're going to have problems relating and understanding, and you're also probably going to be anti-Black American. And so it is my role and responsibility to teach my children, my child and my stepchildren first and foremost, about what it means to be Black in the United States of America. And that's what my research has done as a PhD student. Not student, I'm a PhD now. I actually have the degree. I'm a doctor. And so I encourage all immigrants to study the Black American experience, because the Black American experience is instructional, because it teaches you and tells you how we survived 246 years of enslavement, how we got free, and how we tried to build community and build cities and towns, but those cities and towns were often destroyed.
Yes.
And so a lot of immigrants come to the United States thinking that, oh, you Black Americans had this opportunity, you were born here, why don't you have more, why haven't you done more, when we did what we were supposed to do and it was leveled and destroyed. Yes. You talked about Palestine and what's happening now. That happened to Black Americans on this soil. Yes. And so that is my contribution to the conversation today as a Black American who is a parent of children who are still struggling with identity issues because they were raised in African-centered homes by African parent, one parent African, one parent American, and sometimes my stepchildren, both parents were African or from the Caribbean, right? So that is my Vermont story is a migration story. And I've been here 5 years, and Vermont has been wonderful to me and my daughter. She moved here, discovered she was a drummer. She went to Winooski High School, and now she's at Berklee College of Music in Boston. And so there are a lot of good things. There's beauty here, and that's a good thing. But one of the things that I think needs to be worked on, and it's not just Vermont, it's everywhere I go, is that these types of conversations need to happen.
Yes.
Because,
Right, yeah,
and I'm the
definitely.
person that is willing to have those conversations about the Black American experience to get rid of some of the stereotypes that may
Yes.
exist between immigrants who have been told that there's something bad or wrong with Black Americans, that they should be cautious and leery or stay away from us. Because my ex-husband said that's what he was told as an
Wow.
African immigrant. He was told to stay away from Black Americans.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. That story is very common. Many of my friends are. Well, let me start from the beginning. I'm Reverend Mark Hughes. I'm the executive director of the Vermont Racial Justice Alliance. I'm glad to be here, Winnie. And I'm not mad at you for not mentioning Juxtaposition, my television show. I'm not mad at you at all. And that is on the second Wednesday of every month, and it starts at 5:25. It's 5:25 live. So don't be mad at Winnie for not saying it. It's just, I think it's just a woman thing. I'm not mad at them either.
wow.
Okay, just okay.
Wow.
Just being hated again by her.
Okay.
No.
Where have I landed?
Let's get
Yeah.
exactly. So I want to just distinguish, because what I appreciate so much about what the doctor was just saying is that there's a difference between immigration, refugee, and migrant statuses, and I think there are delineations when we start looking at civil rights laws as well. I'm the son of a woman who was born in Greenwood, Mississippi, which is in Lafleur County, Mississippi, which is the bedrock of fascism for the nation.
Yeah.
So I'm her son. I'm the fifth of five boys, and I was born first generation Yankee in Waterloo, Iowa. So my father was raised in Paducah, Kentucky, and both of my parents are. They come from a line of the enslaved in the United States here. And if I were to try hard enough, I could certainly peel back and associate with the white enslavers who were Scottish, who were on my mother's side. But I won't do that because I'm blackity black. But I will say that there's still an association, not just with civil rights, because at the heart of civil rights, we know that it was because of the legacy of slavery. It made civil rights necessary in this nation. It made it necessary, which we tried with the 14th and the 15th and the 13th Amendments, but that only lasts 12 years. And we know that we were plunged back into fascism for another nearly 100 years after that.
Yeah.
Which took a civil rights movement that was on the backs and through the blood of black folks, and that is our history.
Yeah.
And it was through those civil rights that not just black folks, but everybody
Yeah.
would have access to civil rights. And I think talking about human rights is cool and is cute. Human rights is, but the oppressors, they're the one who actually made the United Nations, and we don't really pay a whole lot of attention to it. And at the end of the day, when we think about what we can actually take into a court of law, it has everything to do with civil rights in the United States. As much as flawed as they were, and I'm saying were because they don't exist anymore, civil rights, because they've just been all upended, all of them, to include voting rights. All of them have been upended federally. And so that not only affects our immigrants' rights, but it affects all of our rights, because we all are inextricably bound. But I think what's more important in my view of this matter is my faith, the tradition of my faith, because my faith tells me that I am to feed the hungry, that I'm to clothe those who are without clothes, and that I'm to receive the immigrant.
Right.
That's what my Bible tells me, and moreover, it tells me that I'm to love everybody. So our movement, if you will, is a human movement, and that's where human rights means something to me. Is how do we treat each other, and how do we treat the least of us, And so I think that this conversation is incredibly important, and I think that we have a tendency sometimes to lose focus of where we're bound and how we're bound, and understanding that it was as a result of the legacy of slavery that civil rights were made possible, necessary rather, here in the United States. And without civil rights, there can be no democracy in the United States. And in their absence, yes, immigrants are on the front line. But that's because that was the plan. But everybody is at risk. Everybody is at risk.
Yes.
And I would just add to that is before we even get it too twisted, it's very important in my mind just to come to terms with the origins of this mess. So we haven't even been talking about our indigenous folks here.
Yes.
So we got indigenous folks that are a part of this, and we also have folks who are sons and daughters of the legacy of slavery. And on some level, not that it's a bad thing, but I don't associate myself with being an immigrant. I don't associate myself with being a migrant, but I do associate myself with being refugee. I do associate myself with being a migrant. And just coming to the state of Vermont, I came as a systems security analyst with National Life Group. I migrated to this state. I had to experience, what it was to try to assimilate with that. It in no way compares to my brothers and sisters who are here as immigrants and as refugees. But there is I know there's a challenge that many black folks have coming to the state. Let's just talk about it for a minute. Yeah. Many black folks have in coming to the state of Vermont, and that's why we see so many of them come, and we see so many of them leave. Yeah. Because it is a very difficult place. You even not being an immigrant, not being a refugee, is very, very difficult. So if you take the difficulties that are associated, enhanced, just exponentially more critical difficulties that are associated with the aforementioned, we can't even begin to imagine, the pain and suffering that's going on right now with our brothers and sisters that are out there. So I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. But just for clarification case, and so that we could make sure that is abundantly clear to our listeners, you're saying that you are not aligned with the immigrant and the refugees because you're an American. Can you explain more about that so that it will be abundantly clear what you were trying to say?
What I'm saying is that I am a migrant. I am not a refugee. I am not an immigrant. I'm a migrant. That's all I was saying.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, my name is Ali Jeng. Thank you so much for having us here, Winnie. And I'm so glad to be with my chocolate brown brothers and sisters sharing this table and coffee au lait.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
Yes.
So originally from West Africa, I was born in Mauritania but grew up in Senegal. I'm a Muslim. I'm a black person. I'm an immigrant, and I'm also a father of kids who are interracial because my wife, who's Irish, and we met back home in Mauritania, and I came here in 2007, so almost 20 years now. Yeah. So lived in DC and then came here in this beautiful state of Vermont, the Green Mountain State. So since I've been here, I've been, just working very hard to build a better community, to increase representation. I created the Burlington School District Parent University, which is an educational program for parents of students in the Burlington School District, bringing immigrants from Asia, from Africa together to be able to help their kids succeed academically in schools. I co-created the Vermont the Vermont New American Advisory Council, which is a group of new American leaders in the state of Vermont in so many different sectors coming together to look into how do we increase civic engagement
Yes.
and also the sense of belonging. I used to be a Burlington City Councilor for 7 years, from 2024, from 2017 to 2024.
Yeah.
And, you know, currently also I continue to serve my community, and I just won the Democratic nominee
Yes.
to
Congratulations.
be State House. Yes. You know, and I think we continue to build. Immigrants and refugees also have different sets of issues and different sets of problems in the state of Vermont. Because if you think about it, we are making up 35% of the population growth in the Chittenden County is made out of the new Americans who are coming here from elsewhere. Immigrants or refugees or asylum seekers, we are here.
Yeah.
We are contributing effectively to the greatness of the state by buying homes, buying cars, opening businesses, renting homes, all types of aspects. We are here, right? But most of the time, we are being forgotten.
Yes.
We are an afterthought. We don't have enough representation, and decisions are being made by people who have no idea what we are dealing with. And we right now, all we've been working on is for the immigrants themselves to start to organize.
Yes.
And now we see Congolese have their own association.
Yes.
Nepalese are working on it. Sudan is doing the same exact thing. And one thing that I also forgot is I'm also a Muslim. And I'm a Muslim who is also practicing.
Yes.
I have great respect to the Islamic Society of Vermont and my, you know, Cafe Ole brother. We work, Wafik, we worked with them and also for them to try to be more involved in what is making this trade great as possible. You know, as a Burlington City Council, I also worked with my brother, the Reverend Huge, to create the Office of Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. And as a City Council, I chaired that committee until I stepped down in 2024. So, great to be with all of you, and let's have a great discussion. Thank you for bringing us together.
Thank you so much. And that was an amazing introduction. Now, the first question that I think that we should dive into, and each person have 5 minutes to do that. What surprised you most about Vermont when you first arrived? And how was that surprise you now? How will that surprise you now?
Any volunteers?
Start with Ellie. Hey, okay.
I was strict to come to Vermont because I used to live in Washington, D.C., my wife and I, and it's when we had a baby when she was 6 months in, you know, August 2028 that we moved here. What surprised me the most here is people were so short.
So what?
Short.
Heights.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of Washington, D.C., but that surprised me so much.
Yeah.
People were so short. And also, there were no diversity at all.
Yeah.
You know, nothing. I mean, it was very hard to walk on Church Street and see a black person or a person of color. That surprised me a lot. But over time, I really, really cannot stay anywhere else other than the state of Vermont.
Yes.
Yes, because here what it taught me is basically how do we respect the environment. That also surprised me.
Yes.
You know, the beauty of the lake, the environment, the sky. I learned to pay attention to everything that is surrounding us. I also was very surprised how when it's cold and when it's hot, people's Vermonters, when it's basically very nice, beautiful, you see them more happy,
Yeah.
talking to you on the sidewalk. But when it's cold, everybody's just focused to do your own thing, right? That was also a surprise. I was also very surprised how you know, misinformation
Yes.
can very rapidly become something else. I was also surprised to see, basically, currently and right now, more organizations popping up supporting, you know, people of color, migrant justice, racial justice, what you're doing with Palestine and all of those. But I do think what surprised me is we have not united yet to the sense, because we are fragmented and we are pushing very hard, but there is still not that unity that I would want to see for all of us to come together.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just take that. You know, one of the things that surprised me most about when I first came to Vermont is that there was just so much division in general. And I think that, let me just say that right, I think it's just that to be such a small state, this is my 16th state that I've lived in. This is my 4th country that I've been in. And it just seems like to have so few people, what is it, about 642,000 folks or something like that, to have all of these little stovepipes across the state. There's so many different factions, so many different groups. And the other thing too is that it's hard to get a breakthrough. It's kind of like the only other place I've been to where you could like literally like say something and it could just remain unheard was maybe in a vault when I was working in security in the military, because there's a lot of division that so I just don't. I mean, just living in so many other states, that was a couple things. The other thing too is there's a lot of folks here when you first get here, they just expect you to leave. There's this attitude. Yeah, they do. I mean, they just the conversations that I had when I first got here is like, so welcome. When are you leaving? You know, it's almost maybe not literally, but it's almost like the attitude that people were like I was dealing with. I'm like, what? You know, who said I was going anywhere? So there's that. There is a you know, and this is a good thing too about Vermont is like when people do decide that they're going to come together on something, Vermont goes hard.
Yes.
Vermont goes hard. So I know like my days at this, you know, in the State House where Wafiq, you remember like back in the day when we were organizing hard, and when we came together.
Yeah.
You know, and we got a lot done. And same thing with you, Ali. You know, when we organized the city, I mean, we had the city council was sitting up there at 3 o'clock in the morning because they wouldn't stop coming with the testimony. You know, I think we. I'm just gonna say it out loud. We called a march on the mayor's house. Some people watching this and they're like, "Oh my God!" So think what you want to think, but still, this was escalation. Yes. This was nonviolent civil disobedience, and it worked. So it was a lot of, you know, I think I have a lot of memories about when we did come together and when we were successful in coming together. And I think it does take a lot of folks in order to get legislators' attention. It takes a lot of folks to get city councilors' attention, and it takes a lot of folks on the same, you know, walking in step. So yeah, those are some of the things that I think surprised me most about coming to Vermont. Thank you.
I think there are two things. First, I'll just say this bluntly, white people surprised me because I've lived in Louisiana, Mississippi, Indiana, and now Vermont. And when I encounter people here in Vermont, the white people that I met were open to the conversation. In those other states, majority of times they were not. And that made a difference, right? So it's one thing when you're banging up against structures and things like that because people in positions of authority or power refuse to let conversations happen, so therefore work can't get done. And that civil disobedience piece has to be organized. But when you're here, there are people that are open to listen and have these types of conversations. And so that was new for me. The second thing is there was a different kind of prejudice also because my last name is what it is. I'm hyphenated. And my daughter's last name is that. People made assumptions about me. And one of the assumptions was, you know, hey, she hasn't come to pick up this thing. I don't know if it's an English barrier or not, and she doesn't understand the language. And I was like, as I said, my people have been here since 1750. I think I have a command of the English language pretty well.
Yeah.
But the assumption was because my last name is Duaning
Yeah.
that I did not speak English and I could not understand. And I was like, well, that's new. So it's a balance. It's like the conversation is there, but some of the prejudices,
The preconceptions.
the preconceptions, are there as well. And also just being pleasantly surprised at the school system.
Yeah.
Because my daughter left Indiana where she had some serious issues where I had to jump in and, really handle some situations because I recognize racism when it pops up and in its subtleties. But when she came to Winooski and saw so many other young people that look like her and saw the diversity of what it means to be Black, right, and to be a person of color, it helped her. And I jumped in in every way that I could to be supportive of the school system and other parents and things of that nature in my short time that I've been here. Yeah. So that and the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The weather. Yeah.
Living 12 years in Boston before I arrived here and going to school, the college over there, coming to Vermont is not surprising. It's part of New England and has similar Yankee cultural and tradition. The only surprise, I still find it very difficult that the denial that racism existed, that our children, particularly in school, they are suffering from it. And I personally and my two kids suffered from it as Muslims and have been called names as terrorists. And when you tell the story to others, they get surprised. So racism is subtle here, and they don't like to talk about it. They think it's a past tense, but we are living it. And my sisters and my brothers, for sure, each one has experience. Saying that, at the same time, coming as a Palestinian activist too, I found it recently the amount and the unbelievable support I got from the state of Vermont and making Palestine as local issue, which is a goal we have been striving to get. And now Palestine is local issue in many municipalities, and we are forcing the politicians to look at it. American people are honest and decent people when they learn what is going on, where their money going, where their weapon and killing whom. And we have been telling the story. The problem that the people on the streets are with us.
Yes.
They agree with us. Through all the movements we have, when we were in Black Lives Matters, which is, I have to admit it, the Palestinian movements, we grow on the shoulders of our people from the Black community. The civil rights movement too, in the 60s. We have a long relationship with that struggle and common relationship, unbreakable for me. I find it, they support, but they forget quickly.
Yes.
And it feels hard. And I will tell my sisters and my brothers, maybe now they are supporting the Palestinians. The support is dwindling. You know, our meetings are less and less. They will leave to another hot issue, you know. The most important thing is we don't leave each other's.
Right.
This is extremely important. And we're now after the politicians, and thank you for inviting Ali, that we find that the street with us, politicians are against us and hard to deal with, you know. But nevertheless, we're going to knock every door.
Yes.
and they don't allow us, we're going to come from the window. They don't allow us, we're going
Get
to
a
break the
ladder up
door.
to that window.
And
Tell
we're
'em,
going to
tell
be
'em.
together. I
Yeah.
mean, our struggle is one. Collective liberation is a must for us to survive.
That's right. Amen, amen, amen. Well, I want to share that when Allie talked about coming to Vermont. And when I first came to Vermont, the culture shock was unreal. Because, I mean, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. You know, every kind of person on the planet is in New York. You know, it was a good thing. You know, in some parts, like high school, I like to share, I was Ruby Bridges without the National Guard. Okay? But coming to Vermont, when we first got here, if I saw a black person once a week, I was running them down. Hey, how you doing? Hey, it's me.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Because it was so white, you know. And please know that my parents did not raise me to be a hater or to be the type of person to tear others down, you know. And my first apartment here with my children, the landlord, when I moved from his property to another property, the landlord looked at me and said, "Oh, you didn't pay no security deposit." And baby, he got a wake-up call, 'cause this little black girl could read. I read the book on the laws on how to take your landlord to court if he don't give you back your security deposit. And my landlord looked at me and said, "I didn't pay one." But my proof was in my lease. I took that fool to court. It said you could sue him for double plus court costs. It was a Kodak moment that I missed, because when the judge rendered for me, the landlord turned all different shades, pink, purple, red. He was like a volcano exploding. He was so upset. But I was so proud of me, because discrimination, true, some people are subtle about it. But some people don't care. If you don't know your rights, and if you cannot read, you will get run over, you know. And I'm telling you, like, when my youngest son was in the 2nd grade, he got spit on and called a nigga, you know, by 2 sisters. And back in the day, where I come from in Brooklyn, if you spit on me and call me a nigga, I'm going to tear your behind from A to B, C, way to Z. But I didn't want to raise my children that way. So my son, at the time, he went to a teacher for help. And they failed, which meant mommy had to step in. And I didn't want to whoop nobody, because it would have made me feel better, yes, but it would not have accomplished anything concerning my son, because he did the right thing. So I needed him to know, mommy is proud of you, I got your back, and we gonna make some changes. And that's how I ended up on the Burlington School Board, you know, because I wanted to make a difference. Not because I want to whoop somebody. The whooping is too easy. But I fought the 2 years that I was on the school board for racial harassment to stand on its own definition. And so I just wanted to, you know, share that little bit of, and I agree with you, Dr. Jolivet, the winters were brutal. The first year, the winter was brutal. Bananas. Like, we got to go. And I'm still here.
Yeah.
But I want to thank all of y'all, because this is good community conversations. And we are stronger together.
Yes. We have to have these conversations, and we have to be real about our lived experiences. And in this last 14, 15 minutes that we have, what would you like Vermont to look like in the next year after all the hoopla after the election? What would you like Vermont
I want
to
a
look
new
like?
governor. I'm sick of Phil Scott. Amanda Janeau for governor.
That's it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think, I mean, if for governor or other offices, I wish for serious change, not only for Scott, for both parties, Democrat and Republican. They are the same party when it comes to the question of race. But one of them, they are playing nice, but still racist nice, or light racism in comparison to in your face. And sometimes I prefer on your face because I want to know that person where they stand on. Yes. So this election, I hope Janou will win, Amanda, but at the same time, we put in front of her serious 5 questions, and she is supportive to our struggle, and we're going to stand with her like we stood with her on the primary, but at the same time, we're not going to stop there. She has to be on the public from now for 82 days from now, the election days. We want her to speak against the war, bring the money for our education, healthcare, and housing, and stand with the people of Palestine, and not to waste American money and American life, you know, on a wars unnecessary. The rest of the legislation are the same way. I mean, there is a changes happening. A lot of people, they answered our question, and we're going to put their feet onto the fire, because just to promise you something,
Yes.
it's not enough for us.
I will not be endorsing any candidates, to be clear. I would like to see young people organize in a way where they can have these types of conversations, whether around someone's dinner table at their home or whether in this type of format or others. Because I think that young people's need to be educated about the history, the foundation of how we got to the present moment. And then they need to be thinking about how they want to move in the next 10, 15, 25, or 50 years. And if we're not training young people to think critically about themselves and society and the environment, then we're not doing our job. Right. And a person my age, under, you know, I won't make assumptions about people's ages, but I just turned 58. And and so, thank you. But that's what I would like to see. I would like to, you know, offer my time and expertise as a historian and American Studies scholar to have these types of conversations where I'm facilitating and doing more listening and guiding and letting the young people begin to take on leadership roles so they can know how to navigate and negotiate the system that they currently have to work with in the United States. But they're going to have to learn about Jim Crow segregation and how it functioned and how people were treated, because that is what's in their faces right now. Yes. And that's what I would like to see. Young people taking a leadership role and just doing more than just on technology, but face-to-face communication.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate what it is that we must do ourselves, because at the end of the day, the government is not going to save us.
No.
We got to save ourselves, which is why what I really hope to see is I'd love to see I'd love to hear back from that imam. And so I'm going to continue to reach out. I'd love to spend more time with some more of the indivisibles. I've been with probably 3 of those. I'd love to see more people showing up at the Richard Kemp Center and supporting some of the activities that unify us. I'd love to see folks showing up at Raise Up Justice, which is going to be here on this Thursday evening, which is a civil rights movement. Which at the heart of it, it's about bringing community together and political education. Then what it is that we do together. Even though the civil rights that we had were flawed, we do need to figure out how we come together and rebuild something new. Maybe not the same thing that was taken, and that's going to take us coming together. The politicians are not going to do that for us. That's not going to be what they're doing. I'd love to see PR4 pass, which is an equal protection constitutional amendment, which is at the foundation. Equal protection is at the foundation of all civil rights. What was the clause in the 14th Amendment? We have an equal protection constitutional amendment that's going to be on the ballot in November. Let's pass it. I'd love to see some more civil rights laws passed. I'll be sitting down with Martine tomorrow having a conversation about one that we put on the wall last biennium, S301, and nothing happened to it. We'd love to see that. I'd love to see folks showing up at events, that commemorate, the true history of this nation, like First African Landing Day, which is happening this upcoming Saturday, which you will keynote at. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So I'd love to see folks showing up and supporting some of these initiatives that we've already created the momentum for in our communities, because at the end of the day, if we don't come together as community, then we can't really expect those who we elect to really effectively operate for us as a collective. What they're going to do is they're going to divide us, and they're going to pit us against one another, and we're going to see the same thing all over again. So we got to put the horse before the cart and organize first in community and come together as brothers and sisters in community and put some tennis shoes on this thing that we're talking about community and walk it out and really move past some of the differences that we've had in community and get past the perceptions that we have about one another and the fear and the guilt that a lot of us are carrying, and get real about really coming together in community instead of just creating our own agenda and then going towards the political apparatus. We got to come together and create our collective agenda. Then together we go to the political apparatus.
Thank you for the question, and I believe it's a good one. What I would want to see is definitely the systemic inequities that exist in our society to be eradicated for the state of Vermont. It's not right when we are minority groups and yet we have more black people in prisons. Yes. We are being arrested more by the police, use of force, the recent article that just came out. Those numbers are concerning. I mean, at the systemic level also, I would want to see more achievement, academic achievement of young black people, brown people, to do better in school or to be supported to do better or to empower their families to help them do better, right? Anything that it takes, I feel like we need to see that. I also want to see the out-migration, we stop it. Yes. Because the state of Vermont, we do not have people. It's an elephant in the room. 600,000 people, most of them are not working. We have more people 65 and older than people 0 to age 18. Yes. So the demographic challenge we have in the state of Vermont, black people, white people, we need to bring a remedy into it. I would also really want to see, more representation too, for people of color to step up in any level of government, school board, city council, state, you name it. We want to see representation because it's good for our children to see that in this state they can be whoever they strive to be. Yes. I want to see those. Thank you.
Yes. And that is how we have conversations. That is how we look each other in the eye. That is how we let you know that what you're feeling, I'm feeling. We may have different perspectives on how we get to express that feeling, but we do want to be part of the fabric of this community in the state of Vermont, because after all, Vermont is still a part of the USA. Amen. And we can live in any state, territory, or commonwealth that is USA. This show here today on Hey Neighbor Hey is the beginning of conversations that you will see, non-judgmental, no condemnation, just us coming together as human beings, as neighbors, and having these conversations and letting you know you matter, we all matter. And because we all matter, we can come together and we can come up with conceptions, perceptions, and get the facts about why we exist in Vermont. We do exist. And in the jails, we may have high numbers. In unemployment, we may have high numbers. In unhoused human beings, we may have high numbers. However, the numbers does not reflect the group that is sitting here. That I want to be full disclosure. I am a civil rights activist, been so for more than 35 years. I am also a humanitarian, and I'm also the host of this show. I believe in community. I've seen it work all over where I go in the state, and I'm part of national organizations. Example, NAN, National Negro Women, and National NAACP. And so I've traveled, and it's the same conversation here you will have. In Vermont, we are very good with having the conversations, having it in black and white. And then now we need the crickets to stop cricketing and we come together. And what is in black and white, bring it to life. And so that we can now bring our community as an all-inclusive community. Once again, thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you, Winnie.
It was a teachable moment, very enlightened moment, and people will now know that we are in the community and we need to be fabric of the community, and we have to come together.
Got to come together. Let's go.
Can we get a group photo?
Oh, yes. So there's the end of Hey.
My name is Rajmi Edens. I am an artist, a poet, an educator, an author, and community organizer, and I currently reside in Chittenden County here in Vermont.
Hey, Winnie. Thank you for asking for my opinion as a pastor serving in the Montpelier area on this topic of immigration. I think that the issues regarding our migrant community in Vermont tie in deeply with many of the other systemic problems that we are having within Vermont as a state. And I think that you're going to find that many pastors serving in Vermont, especially in the metro areas, are going to have a faith-based approach to how we feel that we should be treating members of the migrant community. And that may differ based off of the politics that inform our faith. But as for me, I take the biblical call to look out for the stranger among us, to take them into our household, and to provide as if they're a part of our family very seriously. Leviticus 19 reminds Christians and Jewish folks alike to remember the time where our ancestors were in Egypt as strangers, and therefore to honor them among us. Similarly, Matthew 25 encourages us to look out for those who are strangers among us, to remember that those who are the most vulnerable should be put first, and those who are the least vulnerable should be willing to step back and be put last. When we're talking about the migrant community in Vermont, we have to keep in mind that this is a very vulnerable community in our state. Very often, these are people who are rebuilding their lives from scratch. They don't have the same type of connections and resources that a person who is naturally born here in the United States would have. Even if you are here in the United States legally, the process of making that transition can be a drain on your time and your resources. And so when we look at Vermont as a whole, and we look at the people who are showing up to our churches in need of assistance, very often they are disproportionately represented by people within the migrant community. As a pastor, I feel it's really important that when we're talking about caring for the migrant community, we're also paying attention to issues of poverty and racism. We need to be paying attention to the systemic issues that are making it difficult for people to live here in Vermont. I think a lot of pastors serving in places like Burlington and Montpelier, myself included, can really see firsthand what that suffering can look like when it gets to its worst. And very often the people who find themselves alone without resources are those who are unable to speak up for themselves. And I think right now in America, people who have migrated into the country are really afraid to step up and to be visible with their needs, because we have an administration that is looking for them and excuses to deport them out of the country, often to places that are less safe than here in America. There are a lot of people who are doing good work to support these communities who are not willing to share who they are, what they're doing, out of fear that that visibility will harm the communities that they're serving. That's just a very difficult place to be in. And so, as a pastor who's kind of serving in places where the rubber meets the road when it comes to a lot of the hardship that we're experiencing here in the state, it's kind of hard for me to specify any particular thing that we could be doing that's going to make things better, other than to say that it's not something that can be done in any one place alone. Our state needs to totally change the way in which we provide for our neighbors, from the state level down to the community level. Because right now, living in Vermont feels like if you're first in line, you're the first one served. And if you are struggling, then you're not crossing the finish line. As a Christian pastor, that's just not biblical to me. And so our inability to care for the migrant community here in Vermont the way in which it needs to be in order to thrive and grow is just a real moral failing. And it makes me sad that we are struggling so hard to live into that call to love our neighbor as we would love God, or as we would ask to be loved ourselves.